Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel where we break down software engineering into simple, relatable concepts. Today we'll take a deeper dive into various software development processes like the waterfall model, incremental development, and more. I'll explain each topic with real-world examples to connect the theory with the practice. I also want to let you guys know this is going to be a part 1 of a part 3 series where in part 1 we're going over the waterfall methods, in part 2 we'll go over agile methods, and in part 3 we'll compare and contrast the two so you can know which methods to use in your projects. So let's get started with the waterfall model. The waterfall model is a linear and structured approach to software development. It's ideal for projects with clearly defined objectives and minimal changes. Each phase flows into the next, making it highly predictable. How it works. In requirements, you gather all functional and non-functional requirements up front. In design, you create a system blueprint based on the requirements. In implementation, developers write the code. In testing, the software is tested for errors and compliance. In deployment, the software will go live. And in maintenance, updates and fixes occur post-launch. A real-world example is consider software for an air traffic control system. Once requirements are established, there's little room for error or iteration. Waterfall works well here because the entire system must be meticulously planned and tested before deployment. Incremental development divides the software into smaller, manageable modules delivered in increments. Each increment builds upon the last while refining earlier modules. How it works. You start with basic system that works, then you add a feature in small tested increments, and then customer feedback is integrated into these subsequent increments. A real-world example is a mobile banking app might first release a basic account management feature like viewing balances and transaction history. Later increments could add loan applications, investment tools, and AI-driven financial advice. Reuse-oriented software engineering. In this approach focuses on assembling software from pre-existing components, saving time and reducing development costs. How it works. Identify reusable components like APIs, libraries, or frameworks. Integrate these components into the system and customize them to meet project-specific needs. A real-world example is developing an online marketplace like Etsy might involve reusing authentication frameworks like Firebase, payment gateways like Stripe or PayPal, and analytics tools like Google Analytics. This reduces the time needed to develop these functionalities from scratch. The requirements engineering process ensures you build the right software by understanding stakeholder needs. This process includes elicitation, gathering requirements through interviews, surveys, and observations, analysis by identifying conflicts, specification documents that require in detail, and validation confirm the requirements with stakeholders. A real-world example is in the healthcare industry. Developing a hospital management system might involve requirements like patient data, security, billing integration, and compliance with regulations like HIPAA. A general model of the design process. This design process bridges requirements and implementation. It translates the what into the how. Key steps include architectural design, defining the system's overall structure, interface design, determining how the components interact, and component design, specifying each module in detail. A real-world example is for an e-commerce platform. Architecture design might define a 3-tier system, front-end, back-end, and database, while interface design focuses on communication between the payment gateway and the order management system. The stages of testing. Testing ensures quality and reliability. The stages include unit testing, which is testing individual modules or functions, integration testing, ensuring modules work together, system testing, verifying the entire system's functionality, and acceptance testing, ensuring the software meets users' expectations. A real-world example is for a food delivery app. Unit testing checks the route calculation algorithm, while system testing ensures the orders are processed correctly from a selection to delivery. The V model emphasizes validation and verification at every development phase. Each development stage has a corresponding testing phase. Requirements and acceptance testing, system design and system testing, detailed design and integration testing, and implementation and unit testing. A real-world example is a government tax portal might use this model to ensure compliance with laws. Detailed design maps to integrate testing to ensure all modules like tax calculation and payment function together. System evolution involves modifying software to adapt to the needs, fix bugs, or improve performances. A real-world example is think about a popular app like WhatsApp. Initial versions only allowed messaging, but later updates added video calling, payments, and status updates to keep up with user demand. The processes of prototype development. Prototyping creates a working model to gather feedback early. How it works. It creates a basic version of the system, gathers feedback, and refines the prototype until it meets user needs. A real-world example is a startup might develop a prototype for a ride-hailing app to test the user experience for scaling up. Incremental delivery. In incremental delivery, each release delivers usable functions to the customer. A real-world example of this is a video editing software might release basic editing tools. Later deliveries could include advanced features like color grading, motion tracking, and audio mixing. The process improvement cycle. This cycle focuses on refining development processes through continuous feedback. And how it works. You plan improvements, then you implement the changes, you measure the results, and you act on the lessons learned. A real-world example is a software company might refine its bug tracking process, improving response times and reducing customer complaints over time. And that wraps up our deep dive into the software development processes. By understanding these methodologies, you can choose the best one for your project and ensure its success. And what's your favorite process, or which one do you think works best in real-world scenarios? Let me know in the comments below. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell for more insightful tech content. Thanks for watching the video, and I'll see you next time.